I didn't like how with those friends when we were at church it was okay, but outside of church we don't talk about God. It's not cool to talk about God. I love talking about God. I love learning about religion, and I love religious talk. And it was uncool, and I was ruining the vibe, and I didn't like that feeling. Then one day I met a group of Muslims. We became really good friends, and they taught me a lot. I was nervous, and I asked them, please, can I ask you some questions? I'm really sorry if I insult you. And they said, no, ask away, please. We want to help you. So I asked them questions. Then eventually, about a year later, I started to date a Saudi guy. He's from Saudi Arabia, and I remember when I was with him one day, I had a crucifix, and he says, oh, Jesus, I love him so much. And I was just like, wait, what? What? I was so ignorant at the time. I didn't know that Muslims love Jesus. I thought that was really just interesting. And so he started to explain to me and go really in depth about Islam. And I learned so much from him. We went to a masjid, and if you don't know what masjid is, it means mosque. We went to the masjid, and there was all of these different cuisines from all over the Middle Eastern countries, and it was so cool. And there was camels and a lot of just really cool stuff, and I was really excited. But the most memorable thing for me was the tour of the mosque. I remember my tour guide talking about the mercy of Allah, and it just drew me in. And I was asking so many questions, and he was more than willing to answer them. He talked about Adam, peace be upon him, Jesus, peace be upon him, Abraham, peace be upon him. And I loved how every time he would say a prophet's name, he'd follow it with peace be upon him immediately. There was so much respect for these prophets, and it was so refreshing. Then he started to tell a story about the mercy of Allah, and I'll never forget it. He told this story about this man who was sinning all the time. He did all of these terrible things. And on his deathbed, he had his two sons come, and he said, when I die, I want you to take my body, I want you to burn it, then I want you to take my ashes and spread it across the land. So they did that. They burned his body and spread it across the land. He thought that he'd be able to run away from God. He did not want to seek the wrath of God. Well, that didn't affect his soul, and God found him and asked him, why did you do this? Why did you try to run from me? You should have known that this wouldn't have worked. And the man said, because I was a fear of you, Allah. I was so afraid. I didn't know what else to do. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. He was so merciful. He was so merciful upon this man, and he said that because you showed fear of me, and I could tell you were very sorry for these things that you've done, I forgive you. And he let this man into Jannah. He let him into heaven. This story was amazing to me. I felt like, if this man can get into heaven after doing all these things, then I can make it into heaven.